Okay, so this particular video is split up into two different parts. It's about speeding up your computer, but I'm going to talk about internet browsers and internet cleaners. When it comes to internet browsing, you need to make sure that you have SpySweeper and all the other programs that I mentioned earlier to protect your internet browsing and your computer. Now, as far as internet browsers go, which I'll start out as the first part, one thing I have found over the years is that if you're going to look at the different internet browsers like Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, things like that, one thing I've noticed is that Internet Explorer has had probably the most issues with it. When I did IT support for many years ago, one thing I noticed throughout everything is that Internet Explorer, because it has so many features, because it's packed with so many goodies, it's not as secure. It has more exploits, and it's a lot slower. And even when I'm using my computer right now, one thing I found was that even Internet Explorer can be slow at a lot of times. And I believe they're releasing a new beta version, or Internet, I believe it's a new version, but anyhow, they're actually copying a little bit of, Firefox and things like that. Now, of course, they wouldn't say that, but it looks like it and it seems like it. So when it comes to browsing, if you want your computer to be a lot quicker, Firefox, Google Chrome, and Opera browsers are the way to go. Firefox right now is great, and you can surf the internet and do the same things that you do, but at a quicker rate, and it's a lot secure because it doesn't have all those little goodies and packed in with all those things that makes it exploitable. So if you go to Google here, and I'm using Firefox right now, but if you type in Firefox, you can go to mozilla.com/Firefox, and you can go ahead and download that software and use it. As you can see here, I'm using Firefox, and I can open up tabs. I could work at like 10 tabs at a time, as you can see here. So I could work, all these tabs can be different sites, and as you can see, I opened them up fairly quickly. Now I'm using a 64-bit Vista, so right now this is 64-bit. But if I open up tabs, you can see it kind of loads, or takes a long time to load them. They're a little quicker because I'm using a 64-bit Internet Explorer, but if I use the basic Internet Explorer 7, if most of you are using a 32-bit Vista or Windows XP and things like that, most of the time when you try to make a new tab, it does take like 2 or 3 seconds to make it, and it does take a little longer for Internet Explorer to load things. So that's my point here, is that if you're not using Firefox, if you're not using Google Chrome or Opera, then try one of those three and see how they work. Google Chrome is a lot faster than Firefox, believe it or not. I started using that a few months ago. And Opera, I rarely use Opera, but I usually stick with Firefox or Google Chrome, and they make your experience a lot faster. In fact, I just fixed someone's computer last week, and this girl's computer, she only had 512 megs of RAM, so you can imagine her computer was a lot slower. But I basically installed Firefox on her computer, and we sped up her internet browsing about 5 or more times faster, because Internet Explorer took about, I'd say, almost 20 seconds to load on her computer. When we installed Firefox, it loaded in about 5 seconds, and her experience was so much faster that she thought I had done something to her computer, but I really hadn't done a lot. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's just part 1 of this video. Now part 2, I want to talk about internet cleaners. And you can find one internet cleaner by going to Google and typing in the words Major Geeks. Major Geeks is a site, and type in internet cleaner after that. The specific program that I've been using, it's very good, and it does have a trial on it. And as you can see here, MajorGeek's Internet Cleaner 3.6. And I would advise you just to go ahead and download this version. And most of you, if you don't know anything about cleaning your computer and things like that, then most likely you're going to have gigs and gigs worth of files on your computer. Now, what this program does is basically it cleans your browser, your cache, your things that you really don't need. And if you don't already know this, when you surf the internet, basically what happens is your computer stores all of these pictures and things like that onto your computer. So over the months and over the years, you begin to save lots and lots of files. For example, the girl that I fixed her computer last weekend, she had about 60 gigabytes worth of space on her hard drive. Now, she had never cleaned her computer in 5 years. So what happened was I ran this program, and this program found about 6 gigabytes worth of files that she did not need. So we cleared about that much space, and who knows, you might have about that much too if you haven't actually cleaned your computer before. So I would highly recommend that you download this program, and you can click one of these sites, and you can go ahead and download that, and you can save it and run it and install it. And basically what you're going to find is it's going to be this program here. So here's the program. It's called Internet Cleaner, and it can basically clean all your temporary files, your history, your everything basically. So one thing to keep in mind is that it will delete all your history files, but it'll speed things up a lot quicker. Now, you could go the manual route by going to Internet Explorer, clicking on Tools and Internet Options, and deleting all the cookies and things like that. But for me, I tend to use this program because I use Internet Explorer, I use Firefox, I use Google Chrome, and I use a lot of other browsers for development purposes. But for that case, as you can see here, it'll delete your IE, Firefox, Opera, Google Chrome, Safari if you're using a Macintosh, and other instant messaging programs and unnecessary things. Now, you can go through here and uncheck things, like let's say you don't want your instant messaging archive to be removed. You can do that, but you got to keep in mind that a lot of things that are being removed here are not really that important. They're just materials that are saved on your computer when you run your internet browser and things like that. So you don't have to worry about this deleting your important files and your important data and things like that. Now, there are other programs out there besides Internet Cleaner, and there's one called Absolute Shield. That's another good one, but they all pretty much do the same thing, and I found that this program here pretty much did most of that already. So if you download this one piece of software, you install the other security softwares like SpySweeper and things like that, then this will definitely speed it up a lot faster.